Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna make this bat. Let's get started. Let's get right into this. So all my yarn is 4 weight. It doesn't come in cakes. I make it a cake. This is just a red heart 4 weight. So I'm going to use a 5mm, and I believe that's what it calls for anyway. So let's just jump into this. Do a magic ring with 8 single crochets. You're going to need stitch marker. So I'm going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So you can use your stitch marker or you can just count to 16. If you want to use your stitch marker, it has to go in right on the first stitch you make. Then you can put the second one in. That was my 16. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So that's 1 single crochet with your stitch marker. And then your increase is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And repeat. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. So at the end of this you should have 24 stitches. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's 1. Next stitch gets 1, so that's 2. Then your increase of 2 in the same stitch. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2 all the way around, and when you get to the end you should have 32 stitches, and then you can do 1 single crochet in each of those 32 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So repeat this all the way around, and at the end you should have 40 stitches. And then you can do 1 single crochet in each of those 40 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. And that should take you up to 48 stitches. So it's number 1. That's 4 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Four single crochets and an increase. So repeat that all the way around, and at the end you should have 48 stitches, and then for the next 5 rows you're gonna put 1 single crochet in each of those 48 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. Alright, so this is what you should have. So we're going to start decreasing now. So we're going to start with a 4 single crochet decrease because we ended with a 4 single crochet increase. And that's why we do that. So that's number 1 with the stitch marker. That's 4 single crochets, and then your decrease, you go in and grab some yarn, pull through and stop. Go into your next stitch, grab some yarn, pull through. You should have 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and come through all 3. That's decrease. So you're basically single crocheting these 2 stitches together. That's how you do a decrease. So you'll see it written as SC2 tog, and that's what it means. And repeat. 4 single crochets and a decrease. So repeat this all the way around, and at the end you should have 40 stitches. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will take you down to 24 stitches. That's number 1, number 2, and then your decrease. So, this is what you should have. I haven't put any stuffing in mine yet. You gotta really watch that you don't overstuff this because of the, you don't want to see the white through the black. So I'm not gonna put a whole lot in right now, just because I find it hard to hold. But I do like to push out and then stick some right down into the middle. Okie dokie. So your next round is going to be a 1 single crochet decrease. So we're going to go down to 16 stitches. So it's 1 single crochet and then your decrease. All the way around. So this is what it should look like. So we're going to get aggressive for the head. So we're going to put, we should have 16 stitches. And we're going to put 2 single crochets in each of those. So you should have 32 stitches when you're done. So that's number 1, and then a second one in that same stitch. So 2 in each stitch all the way around. So it should look like that. It's hard to see. So, you should have 32 stitches. For the next 7 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 32 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is what it should look like. Almost like a little pawn. So we're going to start decreasing. You can stuff this if you want. We're going to do a few rows of decreases. So your first round is going to be 6. I don't know where I just put that all over there for. Your first round is going to be 6 single crochets and a decrease. So that's number 1. That's 6 single crochets and then your decrease. So repeat this all the way around. At the end you should have 28 stitches. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease. And you're going to do that 4 times. Four single crochets and a decrease. So you should have 4 single crochets left, and you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 4. So your second to last decrease is going to be 2 single crochet and a decrease. So we can stuff this after this. So at the end of this you should have 18 stitches. If you have done everything right. I know black sometimes can be tricky to work with because it's so hard to see. I struggle trying to see with black. Alright, so let's put some stuffing in this before we come to an end. So if you press on it and it doesn't bounce back, you don't have enough stuffing. So I like to push my stuffing out and then fill the center. It seems easier to stuff that way for me. I get more of an even stuffing experience, if that makes any sense. One thing I hate about black, you can see everything, including the stuffing. I probably have plenty. Alrighty, moving on. So your last round, because we have 18 stitches left, your last round is just going to be to decrease 9 times. So you don't really even need your stitch marker anymore, because whatever we have left, we're just going to sew shut. So you're just decreasing. You're no single crochet, just decreases. 9 of them. So that's my 9. That's what I have left. Should be 9 stitches. So you're just going to go into your next stitch. You're going to fasten off. So you need enough to sew the top shut and then enough just to weave in. So you can go just under 1 piece of yarn. You don't need 2. So go in this way and then out this way. So in this stitch and out this stitch. Oops, I picked up 2. You only need 1 piece of yarn. You don't need to pull tight yet. So in and out. So once you're done that, you're just going to pull that close, just like that. So pull it close so that you can't see any white stuff through there. And you're just going to come across. You're going to go through the loop. So you come across, I know it's so very hard to see, but we've made a loop. You're going to go through that loop because we're going to make a knot. So when you pull your knot, pull it back and forth, and that will tighten it right up really nicely. And now you can just go down and weave. So go down as close as you can to your lead, just so it looks like a stitch, and you can pop out wherever you pop out. So you can just cut that off, and that's our body. We'll just have to reshaping it. There. So the legs are pretty quick. They're pretty small. I'm still using a 5mm. So even though the legs are small, I do some weird stuff. Just because I'm weird. So we're going to start with a magic ring and 6 single crochets. So you're going to need a stitch marker. In the first stitch, you're going to put a single crochet with your stitch marker. In the next stitch, you're going to put 2 half double crochets. So you're going to yarn over, go into your stitch, pull through, shove 3 loops on. You're just going to pull through all 3. That's a half double crochet. So put 2 of those in there. The next 2 stitches are going to have 2 double crochets each. The next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles. And the last stitch is going to get a single. I'm just shaping the leg. So for next 2 rounds, you're just going to put 1 single crochet, shove 10 stitches. For the next 2 rounds, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 10 stitches. So next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and you're going to do that 2 times, and then you're going to do just 2 single crochets because you're not going to have, oh, I've got 1 more stitch. You're not going to have enough room to put it all in. This is what you have. It's what you should have. So I'm just going to go into the next stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch, fasten off. You need a sewing tail. You need enough to sew the top shut and then sew it to the doll. And put a little bit of stuffing down inside. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. Doesn't really take a whole lot, but there's really no function to the feet other than bats have feet, so that's why I decided to put that on there. Other than that, there's really no function, so I'm not going to be too overly serious about stuffing it. So, this gives it a little bit of a funny shape, what I did. It's hard to see. You can see your own. It kind of curves it up, what I did. A little bit. So, after we stuff it and sew it shut, you can go ahead and make your other one, and then before you sew the top shut, go into your next stitch and pull it through. That way you don't have a big lump here. And now you can just kind of sew. This doesn't have to be pretty. You're just sewing it shut to, so it's easier to sew to the doll. And I sewed it, apparently, through the third row up from the middle. So 1, 2, 3. That's apparently where I sewed my other one. So you just have to sew the one side. You don't have to do both. And I'm just going to do invisible stitches, so it means I'm going to go down as close as I can. It is so hard to see, I know, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm going to go down as close as I can to the leg, go into the doll, come back up through the leg. So then my stitch here is going to get sucked in underneath the leg, and you're not going to be able to see it. So that's why it's called invisible stitches. So I'm just going to do that all the way across. And then weave in. It does help to have a hook. A hooked needle. Does that make sense? That wasn't easy to say for some reason. So once I'm done, I'm just going to go into the corner of that leg. And I'm just going to pop out somewhere. Doesn't really matter where. So give a nice tug and just kind of hold on to the leg. It's not going to go anywhere, but kind of gives it some shape again. Let's get our body parts on first so we know where we're putting our face, and then we know where we're putting our ears. So if that makes sense, I'll see you shortly. Alright, let's get started on some arms. We're going to start with a magic ring and 6 single crochets. So you're going to put 2 single crochets in each of these 6 stitches, so you're going to have 12. I would just count to 12 instead of using your stitch marker. So that's my 12. So for the next 2 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in those 12 stitches. So again, I don't think you need a stitch marker, just count to 24. So next you're going to do 1 single crochet decrease. So you might need your stitch marker for this. So that's 1 single crochet with your marker. and then your decrease. This brings you down to 8 stitches. So for the next 10 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 8 stitches. And I'll meet you back here when we're done. Alright, so once your 10 rows is done, you can stuff it like I did. I overstuffed it so you can see some of the white filling through, but that's okay. I'm going to put white wings on it anyway. So go into your next stitch and you're going to fasten off. And you need a sewing tail. So we're going to sew the top shut. And then you can go build your second arm. And then I'll meet you back here and we can sew it on, because we're going to actually sew it underneath because we want it to stick up. So I'll sew it on with you. So sew the top shut just like this, just like we've been doing. And I'll see you back here when you're ready. Alright, so I got my other arm sewn on already. So that's how I want my arm. And yes, I did overstuff it because I really want it to stick up. So these ones didn't quite work the way I wanted to. I wanted them to stick up, so the wings were always kind of out like this. But I didn't sew underneath the arms to do that, so that was my first mistake with this guy. So this time I'm correcting that mistake because I want the wings to stick out. So, all this crap out of the way. So you're sewing it right at the neck. You just got to figure out where you're putting it. You're just going to do invisible stitches like before. So come in as close as you can to the arm. Grab the doll. And then come up through. So that way that gets sucked underneath. I'll do it again. Then we're going to sew under the arm. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Go in near the doll, or near the arm, come up through the doll, and give a tug. It's probably really hard to see what I'm doing right now, but just know I'm sewing under the arm. Because we want the arm to stick up. So once you're done, you can go down into that corner just to make sure the corner's down. And you can pop out wherever. So now your arm should be out like that, which is what I wanted. The first time I made the bat is what I wanted. It's what I had pictured in my head when I was designing it, but it didn't really work out that way. So you can just do some weaving, and because this is an arm and you really don't want somebody to yank it off, I'm going to tie a knot. This is generally what I do. Is I tie a knot. I don't make it a tight knot, so the consensus is, if anyone's tugging on this knot, after I poke it down, should get stuck into the filling. So I cut it off, but I left a little tail because I don't want to I don't want the knot to undo itself. If the knot is tight, I feel that it might just slip right through the filling and not actually grab. So poke that down, and that should secure it better. So this looks worse on camera than it actually is in real life. I don't know why, but I can't see that much white through it in person. But yeah, I did overfill it. Stuffing should come in different colors, or at least black and white. But anyway, so now that we have our appendages on, before we get to the wings, let's just quickly do the face. So this is what I used for the face. This is a sparkle cake from Red Heart, I believe. I just separated the colors in the cake because it has reds and pinks and all different colors, and gray is part of it. And it's sparkly. I don't know if you can tell. It's glittery. Anyway, that's what I used for the fangs and the eyes. So that's what I'm going to use for this guy, because at night, this looks super creepy. And I love it. So, you can do whatever you want. This is just an idea that I had, and I thought it was fabulous, so I'm going to do it again. So, if you're going to do what I'm doing, cut a piece of whatever you're using, make a double knot. I'm making a double knot because this is not very thick stuff. I mean, it's a 4-weight, but it's thin. But if you're using something that's worsted or something, or whatever, you probably don't need a double knot. So, pretty simple for the eyes. I just go in anywhere. Pop out where you want to start your eye. This is going to be hard to see until I start getting stuff on there. Don't pull that through. We're going to poke it down, which is way better than pulling it through. So, I'm just going to go into the next stitch. Like, I don't need to make my eyes very big. And I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to kind of just repeat it a couple of times, overlapping. And then I'm going to scooch down a little bit. So you can make these as big or as small as you want. I don't think they need to be that big. I don't want to go too far apart. So I'm just going to go into that next stitch and come back this way. So they don't quite match, but I suck at sewing. Oh, I can't even get into it now. There we go. Oh, I might have pulled too tight. Well, once you're satisfied with that, go back down in. And now you're going to come down here and do some fangs. So pop out wherever you want your fangs to start. Probably get away with doing all this. So I just did the same thing. I went down into the next stitch and back up again, and I just did that a few times. Actually, I think I only did it 3 times or so with. I'm gonna fix this off camera. Alright, let's do some ears. I fixed my face offline and I don't think I made it any better offline, off camera. So you're going to put 6 single crochets in here. So I want these kind of pointy, but not pointy. You know, Bab's ears are pointy, but not pointy. So I didn't do the regular 2 stitches in each, blah blah blah. I went straight into a 1 single crochet increase. So that's 1 single crochet. Your next stitch gets 2 single crochets. That's your increase. So because we started this off without doing 2 in each stitch, it's the numbers are going to be a little lower as we go up. So you should have 9 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. Good Lord. Struggling to get into these stitches. That's number 1. That's number 2, and then you do 2 single crochets in the same space. So you can flip it around, pull your middle closed. For the next 2 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. So just count to 24, makes life easier. You don't have to use your stitch marker. So that's my 24. Pull my middle. Just wanted to show you the shape. I mean, it's not pointy, but it is. Like, it could be rounder, but it could be pointier too, I suppose, if I started with 4 single crochets. So if you want it pointy, just start with 4 single crochets into your magic ring and do the exact same thing if you want it pointier. Okay, so we're going to decrease. So we're going to do 1 single crochet in the decrease. So that's my 1 single crochet. And decrease and repeat 1 single crochet and a decrease. So you should be down to 8 stitches at this point. I didn't stuff these, by the way, so you don't have to worry about stuffing them. For the next 5 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches. If you have one of these, they're great, because you don't have to use your stitch marker. You can just count to 8 or count to 16 and then hit the button once or twice, and it counts your rows for you. It's called a row counter, and get them on Amazon. They're like $3 or something. They're dirt cheap, so that's all I'm going to use. So for the next 5 rows, or you can just count to 40. So that's my 40 done. My last row is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. But I'm done anyway, so I'm going to go into the next stitch and I'm going to fasten off. We're not sewing this or stuffing this, so you will need a sewing tail. So fold it that this is on the side before we sew the top shut. Whatever color you're using for your wings, I'm going to use white. This is a sparkly. I don't know if you can see it. It's so pretty. That's what I'm going to use for my wings, so I'm going to put it inside my ears as well. This is a red heart. It's opal, actually. It's from the With Love collection, so it's got the sparkle. It doesn't come in a cake. I make it a cake. I just need to figure out where this end is. There we go. So, cut off whatever color you're going to be using for your wings. Thread one end, and just in case you accidentally try to pull through, you can make a double knot of sorts at the other end. It's going to be inside the ear, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. I put a little loopy on the end of mine. So you're going to come up into the ear, and you're going to decide. So the ear is going to be folded at the bottom like this and sewn on. So it's going to sit twisted because that's what a bat ear does. So because it's going to be folded like this, you're only running your color from here to about here. So we don't need to, whoops. We don't need to come all the way down. So I'm going to guess right about here is probably good. So I'm just going to pull that in. Stick that inside because I don't need it. So kind of push this out because you don't want to go all the way through to the back, but just come up to the top wherever you want your color to be. And you're just going to go back and forth a couple of times. So try to keep it straight as you can. Like I know you're kind of spreading out. Try to kind of meet gathered here and spread out here. So we want to go over this a few times. So I'm going to come back over this way again. I'm just pushing that out to make sure I'm not sewing the other side down. So I'm going to kind of poke down through a new spot here because I want this to fan out at the top. So you can go as many times as you like. I've got enough that I can kind of keep going over and over and over. But if it's not necessary, you don't have to. You're just going to kind of trail off inside here. So that's all I did for the ear. So just so this doesn't pull through, you can make a knot on this end and then just tuck it in there, as we don't need it. And then you're just gonna stitch the top of this so that it does this bendy thing like I was just talking to you about. So fold it and stitch it like that. So when you sew it to the head, so the ear needs to turn because that's what a bat's ear does. Trust me, I stared at pictures long enough to know. So I'm just going to go down into the head, kind of come up into the side of that. You're going to have to sew up into this area. So I'm going to come this way. You don't have to sew like me. I'm just doing invisible stitches. But you're going to have to come up that far to keep it keep it. So I really want to keep that bend. I'm going to go down into this after I've bent it, and I'm going to pop out. So pull snugly, and that'll turn your ear. So now it's kind of facing forward. So you just got to go down into that part. So once you think that you're secure, I'm actually going to scooch back over here because I don't think I really secured the bottom of my ear all that well. Oops, I pulled way too tight. Pop that back out. So I just don't feel like this part is secured good enough. So I'm gonna come up into that corner. Oh, that was my thumb that just cracked. I'm gonna pull snugly, but again, I'm pulling too tight. And I'm gonna end up with a divot in my head. Anyway, I'm gonna go back down into that corner. And I'm gonna weave. Again. Just kind of tugging on it. Make sure it's good enough. So, once I'm done that, I'm going to make my knot and poke it down. That should secure the ear. So go ahead and make your other ear and get that sewn on. And then last but not least, the wings. My face is horrible. Alright, last but not least, the bat wings. So, no magic ring for this. So, you're gonna make a slip knot. So, just make it like you're tying a knot. But then pull, like that. You're gonna chain 37. That's 37. So, we have 36 working chains, and we're going to use all 36 working chains. I know that's probably hard to see against my white background. Okay, so you're going to single crochet 8, you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and you're going to single crochet 8. You're going to do this 3 times. So that's first time. You've already done your 8, so you're going to skip 2. So you don't redo 8. So it's 8, skip 2, 8, skip 2. That's 8, skip 2. It should only be 6. And 6. So you've just created your bumps for your bat wings. You don't need to see mine, you can see yours. Chain 1 and turn. Now you're looking at the back of it. So you're going to single crochet these two together, so do a decrease. Then you're going to do 3 single crochets. You're going to skip 2, so right at your point, you're going to skip 2, and you're going to go into here and you're going to single crochet 6. So back at another point, you're going to skip 2, and you're going to single crochet 6. You're going to skip these 2, and you're going to crochet 7 to the end. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn. So this is what you should have so far. You're going to single crochet 6. Don't forget, you need to get into this first stitch. That's 6, so we're at the point again. You're going to put 2 single crochets into this next stitch. Then you're going to single crochet 5. So we're back up to the next point. You're going to put 2 single crochets in this next stitch. Then you're going to single crochet 5. Back up to the next point. You're going to put 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Then you're going to do 4 single crochets, chain 1 and turn. So now it's starting to straighten out a little bit. So you're going to single crochet the first 2 together. You're going to single crochet 2. Now we're back to the point. You're going to put 2 single crochets in this next stitch, both in the same stitch. Now you're going to 6 single crochets. You're going to put 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So again, we're right at the point. You're going to do 6 single crochets. We're at the point again, so you're going to put 2 single crochets in that next stitch. You're going to do 7 single crochets to the end, chain 1 and turn. So that's what you should have right now. You're going to single crochet the first 2 together. You're going to do 6 single crochets. You're going to skip 2. And then you're going to do 5 single crochets. You're going to skip 2. You're going to do 6 single crochets. You're going to skip 2. You're going to do 1 single crochet, and these last stitches you're going to single crochet these 2 together. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn. So you should have 20 stitches. You're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 20 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. So this is what you should have. So you're going to do 10 single crochets. Make sure you're getting into this first stitch. That's 10 single crochets. Your next stitch, you're going to put 2 single crochets into that space. Then you're going to do 9 single crochets. You're going to chain 1 and turn. First 2 stitches you're going to single crochet 2 together. You're going to do 7 single crochets. Sorry, my camera shut off. 7 single crochets. The next stitch you're going to do 2 single crochets in the same space. Then you're going to do 11 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. So you're going to do 19 single crochets starting in this first stitch. That's my 19. You should have 2 stitches left, and you're going to single crochet those 2 together. Chain 1 and turn. So you're going to single crochet these 2 together. You're going to single crochet 18 stitches. Chain 1 and turn. So now you're going to do 17 single crochets. That's my 17. I got 2 stitches left. I'm going to single crochet those together. Chain 1 and turn. Last row, single crochet these 2 together. 16 single crochets. And that's my 16. So this is your bat wing. So go ahead and make your second one. I'll put the pattern on the screen. And you're going to want to, at least for one of them, have a long sewing tail. The other one really doesn't. No, I guess it does matter because you got to sew all along the arm too. So both of them should have a sewing tail. One of them is going to be sewing and then joining these two together at the back. So one's going to have an extra long sewing tail and the other one's just going to have a regular sewing tail. And I will meet you back here and we'll get them sewn on. Okay, so I have both my wings done. So both sides are gonna have to work. So one side, oh gosh, it's my extra long cord. Oh, what I did, I must have just sewed the top and then sewed the arms like that, just sewing the top together. So I'm putting my corners together and not really by that much. And I'm gonna sew. Well, I'm not really gonna sew. I'm gonna put a couple stitches in there to hold this together. And I'm gonna go down a bit so that it's more than just, you know, the corners. So once I am satisfied, I'm just going to scooch back up to where I need to be, because I have to sew all along here on my arms. So once you get that, excuse me, try to keep that separate. This is not as awkward as it seems right now. It just seems really awkward because I'm trying to do it with the camera straddled between my legs. So put that up as high as you can, the back of the neck, because you want to get that arm. I'm going to go down into the wing, down into the doll. I'm going to just try to stay in the top row. Yeah, see, it's just pulling the arm down, but not as bad as my other one. So once you come to the end of your arm, I'm just going to go into the doll itself. I'm not going far. That's about it. I'm going to use this stuffing to make a knot. So I overstuffed this arm. So I'm going to make my knot here. Cut off a titch. And I'm going to jam that down. So that's one wing. It may help to actually sew all the way down. So maybe that's what I'll do with this leftover bit here. I'll make a slip knot. Let's just see how it's gonna look. So I'm done. My camera shut off, but I'm done doing this part. So I'm just gonna get this sewn to the arm and see if that kind of helps hold my arms up a bit. You wouldn't think the wings would be that heavy. They are fairly big. Anyway, so I'm gonna get this done, and then I will meet you back after you get yours done. And we'll see what it looks like. Alright, so I cut my face off. I didn't like that. I thought it was horrible looking. And I just took some of this Elmer's glitter glue. You can buy this at Dollarama or Dollar Tree, whatever. I just took the glitter glue and I just made a face. So that's how I solved that problem, because it just was not working out quite the way this worked out. This is sewn on. And then I just couldn't do it again. So I think my arms turned out better. I know it's hard to see my wings right now, but I think sewing them together helped. Now my arms kind of... I might have to do spray starch on this, on my wings, so it stops rolling up. But other than that, and I mean that's, you can buy that cheap at Amazon. You can also make your own starch, homemade starch. It's just glue and water. It's just more glue than water, but just watered down glue and brush it on and it'll stiffen right up. Actually, it stiffens up really, really well. I did it on my fairy doll. I did it on the wings. I show it in the video. So that's homemade starch, so you can do that. But those arms stay up by themselves now, and I think sewing it at the back was awesome. Was a smart job, way better than this, because again, it's not sewn together at the back, so it just kind of, his arm kind of flops down, and I didn't sew underneath the arm. So anyway, there you go, Halloween bat. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.